Hello and welcome to the 20th edition of Stu's Music Quiz. This week coming to you from the year 2006. Now remember, the idea is we have 30 questions here. You'll get 30 answers later on. The answers follow straight on from this. And they're to do with all kinds of music and music activities from 2006. Hopefully cover a good range. Some with a bit more of a cryptic idea to give everyone a chance to think about it. I'm going to move through this quite quickly, so feel free to pause at any point. Take your time over it. There's no time limit here. I'm not telling you that's how long you've got to think about it, especially when you get to the cryptic albums a bit later. You might want to take a bit more time with them. Off we'll go. Starting with a trivia question. God, this seems like a lot less time ago than 15 years. The Eurovision Song Contest caused a major stir in 2006 when Hard Rock Hallelujah from heavy metal band Lordi won. I'm sure many of you back there remember that. The thing is, what country were they representing? That's what you got to remember. Hard Rock Hallelujah from Lordi won the Eurovision Song Contest, the heavy metal song. Which country were they representing? Okay, a different kind of trivia question. Simple, but if you think about it, I'm sure you get it. What came to an end in 2006 after 42 years on July the 30th? What came to an end after 42 years on July the 30th in the UK? And it was a big deal. Number 3, which former army officer became the first British act to top the US Billboard charts for 9 years? The first British act to top the US Billboard charts for 9 years. Former army officer. Okay, few random trivia questions there. Now, the biggest sellers. Often I go through like the top 5 biggest sellers in various ways. This year I'm only going for the first one. The biggest seller of the lot. The biggest selling single of 2006, and it was a big, big seller. But it was the first record to ever reach #1 on downloads alone. Now, that's where we were in 2006. It's one of 12 songs as well with this title to make the UK top 40. So a couple of little clues there for the biggest selling single of 2006. The first record ever to reach #1 on downloads alone. Well, that might be more of a fact than a bit of knowledge you've got, but definitely this might help you. One of 12 songs with this title to make the UK top 40. I believe that is a record. The most common title for a song. Biggest selling single of the year. Hit #1 for 9 weeks as well. Okay, a different one here. 2006 was a year, as we know, of change in the music industry, very, very much. So along those lines, let's look at some of the stars of the year. This group, no prizes for recognising them, had the fastest selling debut album of all time this year. It shifted 113,000 copies just on its first day. You may know them, but can you remember what's the album's name? What is the name of their debut album? Okay, some other stars of the year. It was, yes, the year of Take That's triumphant comeback. But what was the name of their comeback single? Another #1. What was the name of their comeback single? Well, there were stars of the year. Here's the goodbye of the year. We've had one major institution ending. What about this one? It was Smash Hits. In February, it published its final edition after many, many years. Began in 1978, I believe. But who was the final cover star? Was it A, the Pussycat Dolls, B, Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas, C, Preston from the Ordinary Boys, or D, Justin Timberlake? Who was the final cover star of the final smash hits in February 2006? Hopefully getting a flavour of the year, which is what we hope for as well by this time. Now we're going to move into some album covers. Okay, and some questions relating to those album covers. See if you can get them. Here we go. Here's an artist who became the oldest person at 65 to have an album enter the Billboard charts at #1, straight in, debuting at #1 at 65. You don't need to give me the album. Cracking album it is. But who are we talking about? Let's shift to the album. Here's some British rockers sat around a table on the front cover of their album. What's the title? This is their 4th album. What is the title of this album? Huge one for 2006. Many believe their best. And another album to name. A harp-inflected album, very popular in its alternative way. What's its name? And number 11, another one for you to go for here. This is from a 60s legend who have been going ever since, although at a very slow pace. And he hit the real heights of avant-garde with this album. My favourite of the year. They may say name the album at the top, but notice I'm asking you for the artist. That's all I want to know here. Which 60s legend hit the heights of avant-garde with this album? Name me the artist. Okay, should we go to some lyrics? Here we go. A variety of tracks from 2006 that I'm sure you'll all know. The question is, do you know the lyrics? Here you go, you rap fans. Here's one for you to begin with. Big hit from the year. I Gotta Testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For all the day I die, I'm a... What's he gonna do? I gotta testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day I die, I'm a... Oh, there we go. Yes, as I say, if you don't see these, if you haven't done these in my other ones, the asterisks do represent, unless I've made a mistake, do represent the actual number of letters. So that is the extra clue there for you as well. Okay, let's move on. Different type of song here. Big hit in, big debut hit actually in the United Kingdom. This. At first, when I see you cry, yeah, it makes me... At worst, I feel bad for a while, but then I just... Same word. But what word is it? Skipping genre quite a bit again. To the left, 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 to the left. In the box to the left. Not the stereo MCs, out of date here. To the left, 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 to the left. What? In the box to the left. Okay, number 15. Oh, I wish I was a... In 77 and 69, revolution was in the air. I was born too late into a world that doesn't care. Oh, I wish I was a... Like number 13, the missing gap is exactly the same on both of them. A huge song, one of the biggest selling, I think one of the top 5 selling songs of the year. But what are the missing words? Okay, we're halfway already. Hope you're doing okay. Let's move on to a different kind of question altogether. These are my cryptic albums where I put together in pictures the name of some key albums from this year. What's going on here? Now, I notice it is cryptic. This isn't necessarily just say what you see catchphrase style. Well, there's an element of it here, really. Have a think what the man is doing, or what you could be said to be doing, and what else is there. Obviously, apologies if you don't know the album, but there you go. You can't know everything. Let's try number 17, shall we? Have a look at this one. This was a massive album this year. It would seem to be everywhere. Everyone seemed to be playing it. But what are we representing there? Okay, on to number 18. What's going on here? What's that guy doing? Okay, and your last cryptic albums. Every week there's one that I like the most. Indulge me with it. And that's this one. Which album, a very famous artist, are we cryptically looking at a description of? Yeah. Okay. Well, if you didn't get them, I hope you're enjoying them. Anyway, right, time for me to just shift my settings a little bit because it's time for the piano. Now, those of you who don't know this, what we're on to here is my version Name That Tune, because of course I'm not allowed to, by copyright rules, play you the original recordings of any songs from 2006. Instead, I have to reproduce them for you on the piano. Now, the catch of this is I'm not a very good piano player, so they may not be as obviously recognisable as they are. I was thinking the other day how great it would be if I was a really good piano player and I could do something clever like play them but in a different style, but that's not how it works. And I'm not about to try and persuade my piano playing wife to come in and do that for you. So you're going to have to put up with me. So we're going to start here. Most of these here are riffs that are going to get them for you. So here's number 20 for you. A riff from a very big song of 2006. Can you identify it from my playing? Okay, there we go. I got into it more second time round there. Number 21. Another riff for you to recognise here. A bit shorter this time, from another massive hit of 2006. and so on. So there's number 21 and the riff. Right, here goes number 22. Very recognisable, maybe, but does the piano and my poor playing give it up, not hide it a little bit? Okay, I'm going to try that one more time for you. Now, I can promise you, if you heard that in the songs, you'd recognise it immediately. But is it too hidden by the fact an amateur piano player is attempting to have a go at it? Right. Well, number 23, we are onto an actual tune. Okay, from another 2006 one. Now, remember, again, it is Name That Tune. All we need is the name of the tune. If you get the name of the artist, it's a bonus. So all we're looking for is the name of the tune. A chorus tune there for you. Okay. Are you so secure in your knowledge of 2006 that even my playing couldn't hide those from you? Maybe. Okay. I always like to have a little think about covers here. People love to cover the past, don't they? We're in a bit of a period in 2006 here of, shall we say, people covering songs that they probably shouldn't have gone near. Here's some examples of that. Here are 5 songs which you'll probably like to varying degrees. And on the right-hand side are a group of people who you may not like to varying degrees. And they all did very throwaway pop versions that were big hits of these songs. What you've got to do, of course, is match them up. We got Don't Stop Me Now, the Queen song, of course. I Think We're Alone Now, the 60s song made famous for most of us through Tiffany's version in the 80s. Woman in Love, Barbra Streisand singing the Bee Gees. Downtown for Julia Clark. And The Rose, a big old standard there, probably best known for the Bette Midler version. One of those was performed by Girls Aloud. One of those by Westlife. One of those by Emma Bunton. One of those by McFly. And one of those by Liz McClarnon, who used to be an Atomic Kitten, as I guess most of us wouldn't have remembered who she was. And of course, remember, Atomic Kitten were huge at this point, or had been huge at this point. So you just got to match them up. Now, if you don't remember them, it's a case of trying to work out which one suits which one, or doesn't suit which one in some cases. The good news is, as part of this quiz, you don't have to go and listen to any of them. Okay, we're going to finish off with a couple of trivia questions just to take you towards the end. First of all, which future global superstar released her first single, Tim McGraw, swiftly followed by her self-titled debut at 16 years old? Her self-titled debut album, of course, that is. Which future global superstar released her first single, Tim McGraw, swiftly followed by her self-titled debut at just 16 years old? And to finish us off, number 30, 2006, remember. Why did Sham 69 update their 1978 classic Hurry Up Harry this year? Why did Sham 69 update their 1978 classic Hurry Up Harry this year? Okay, I hope that's taken you nicely back 15 years. I hope you've had a good go at that and have some confidence. You want to know the answers, don't you? See how well you did and also find out what were the answers in the ones you didn't know. Let's move on to that straight away now. If you want to pause and go back and look over any, now's the time to do it. But here is where we will come through the answers for you. And before we get going on them, just a reminder, all the way along at the bottom, you've seen that little web address site, the Just Giving site. This is why I do this, why I've now produced 20 of these each week and hopefully enhanced your enjoyment, because I'm raising money for Young Minds UK. I've worked with teenagers for most of my life very closely, and I've seen very, very much the dreadful mental health epidemic that's sweeping through them at this moment in time. I obviously am not going to go into any details, but I'm currently working with people who have some horrific situations going on, increasing numbers of people who are unable to even cope with life, and what a frightening thing that is at a teenage years. So Young Minds UK do a wonderful, wonderful job. And if in any way at all you could support me just with a small little amount on my Just Giving page, it would be fantastic. We're up to about 250 now, £250. I'm hoping over the next year to bring up to about 1,000, because it'll make a real difference to them. It'd be lovely if you could contribute at all. And also a reminder that why 2006? Well, what we do is we work with Twitter music competition, poll competition, whatever. Richard Shaw runs this on Twitter. It's quite easy to find. This week, go for the hashtag 5albums06. And you'll see lots of discussion all week long. People throwing up albums from 2006 they like and suggest. And then right at the end of the week on the Friday, if you wish to, you vote for your top 5 albums of the year in order. And what Richard does is he works them out on a Sunday. He provides us with a chart from usually, we're looking at about hundreds and hundreds of entries that we get. He gets in from them, well over 500 entries most week. So it's a really interesting poll. And then after all years have been done, they go together to a bunch of finalists to work out our favourite album of all time. Okay. So there's the little plugs going on. Let's move on into the answers and see how you did. So we started off with the Eurovision Song Contest, didn't we? And I'm sure you remembered it was Finland that Lordi came from with Hard Rock Hallelujah. I'm sure you remember all those big masks that they wore and everything. I wonder if you remember what came second. There, I very much doubt it. I do for some reason. I remember it was Estonia. I'm pretty sure I'm right with that. I may be wrong. A group of middle-aged men singing in a very creepy voice, "We are the winners of Eurovision." Of course they weren't, but they did all right with it. Very bold, but unfortunately came across Lordi at the time. What ended after 42 years, only made it to middle age, unfortunately, in 2006. It was the wonderful Top of the Pops. Every now and again, people go, "Oh, it shouldn't have finished. It should have carried on." I can't imagine it working, really, in the way that charts are these days and have been since then. I think we just as much miss the charts as they used to be from them. But yes, Top of the Pops finally came to end in very reduced viewing figures in 2006 after 42 years. Okay. It was James Blunt who topped the US Billboard charts. First time since Elton John's Diana Candle in the Wind single that a British act had topped the Billboard charts with You're Beautiful. Poor old James Blunt. He's the right butt of a lot of jokes and comments, isn't he? But of course, he's just someone well worth following on Twitter if you don't already. He's very good at taking the mick out of himself, and he's quite a witty guy, isn't he, really? But that song was the soundtrack for 2005 in this country, wasn't it? 2006 in America. Okay, the biggest selling single of 2006 in the UK was Crazy by Niles Barkley. Yes, the 12th time a song called Crazy. I believe the only one up near there is Angel as a title for songs that hit the top 40, but Crazy, there's many crazy songs out there. Niles Barkley were there for 9 weeks at #1 in 2006. Then we went on to the stars of the year. Now, who else do we have there? We had the Arctic Monkeys. What was the name of their debut album? Sold 113,000 copies on the first day. Quite incredible, really. It is the wonderful Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. What I think's great about the Arctic Monkeys is that they came in with this, and I bet that you look good on the dance floor and everything. But look at the number of times they've released great albums since and reinvented themselves and gone down different lines. They really are a proper quality act, aren't they? So there we go. Next star of the year. Take That debut song was called Patience, which you may remember. It wasn't, as many of you will come up with, Rule the World, I would think, which is the one most people remember from that period of time. Patience, followed by Shine, I think, came after it. And because even with the gap there, it continued a run of, I think it was 6 consecutive #1s from them, but with a huge gap between. And in fact, that and their album, their comeback album, were #1 at the same time, and that's the first time that had happened. So in many ways, you could say the comeback's more successful than it originally was. And there you go. It was Preston from the Ordinary Boys that graced the cover of the final Smash Hits. It's a bit sad for Smash Hits to end up with somebody who, let's face it, really was a man of the moment, if that at the time. The Ordinary Boys really weren't going anywhere, were they? And then he went on one of the Big Brothers? It certainly was on the reality TV show. Ended up in a romance with the one that everyone liked of it. I can't remember her name, but I'm sure it was a celebrity Big Brother, if I remember correctly. And they put in a member of the public along with all these celebrities, and the woman they put in, vague memory. I'm not really up on this gossip culture. And now, what's Preston most famous for? Probably his bad-tempered stomping off in the middle of Nevermind the Buzzcocks when he was being teased about it. There we are. Okay, naming the artist. Who was it on this album? It was, of course, Bob Dylan. And one of his modern masterpieces, Modern Times. Worth a listen if you haven't listened to it. It's a cracking album. Really, really good it is. What about the next album? What's the name of this one? It is Black Holes and Revelations. It's Muse's, well, for many it's their masterpiece. I assume there's many Muse fans out there who would say no and shout horrific things at the screen, but it certainly was a massive hit at the time. What about the harp-inflected album coming up here? This was Joanna Newsom, of course, with her harp, and it's probably her best-known album. And I now have to attempt to pronounce that. Wise? Yes? I don't know how you like to pronounce that, but that is the name of the album. Very well known, very highly thought of. It's still one that people look back on many years later. Okay. And the artist who hit the heights of avant-garde with this album, it is the amazing Scott Walker. With The Drift, the middle of his, well, trilogy, I suppose, of avant-garde albums, avant-garde songwriting, which began with Tilt back in '95. This then took 11 years to come out, and then a mere 7 years later, we had Bish Bosh. All three of them are wonderful. This is probably the most extreme and avant-garde of the lot. I would say Bish Bosh comes close. But The Drift is a wonderful album. And I fully recommend it to anyone who's going to be able to put up with something a little bit strange. It's terrifying. It's literally terrifying as an album. I will tell you that. But towards the end, you know, particularly. Okay, let's move to the lyrics. I got to testify. Come up in a spot looking extra fly. This, of course, is Kanye West. Okay, appearing with a little help from Lupe Fiasco. For a day I die, I'm a touch the sky. If you remember, literally a wholesale rip-off of Curtis Mayfield and Move On Up. But there it is, Touch the Sky, number 13. At first, when I see you cry, it makes me smile. Lily Allen, another of the stars of the year here with her debut album, come again from like the Arctic Monkeys did, from a lot of online exposure into being, well, a massive star of the year, really, with her very good album, All Right Still. Very good album it is too. Great lyrics, really, very sharp, but there we go. One of the stars of MySpace, if you remember that. The huge thing at the time, everyone thinking that was going to be the future. Didn't last too long, did it? I think Facebook wiped it off the space of the map, really. Okay, number 14, to the left, 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 to the left. This is Beyonce. Everything You Own in the Box to the Left. Irreplaceable. Her really quite vindictive and aggressive song. Vindictive is actually unfair, isn't it? It's not vindictive at all. It's just strength. It's a great song, and one of many that seem to sense at times the ability of a woman to sort herself out in her situation. Okay, great song, brilliant art. You can't beat Beyonce, can you? Really? What a legend she is. Okay, and number 15. Do you remember this one? Big number one of the time, big hit, 5th biggest selling single of the year. I Wish I Was a Punk Rocker with Flowers in My Hair. In 77, 69, Revolution was in the air. I was born too late into a world that doesn't care. I wish I was a punk rocker with flowers in my hair. Yes, Sandy Tom, if you remember. There we go. Right, let's have a look at the cryptic albums. See how we're going on here. What's going on? This is a man who is returning home. And what's he returning home to? A mountain of cookies. Yes, it's TV on the radio's return to Cookie Mountain. That's what's happening to him. He's returning to Cookie Mountain. And if he had an expression on, if he had a face at all, I'm sure he would be delighted to see that as he walked in the door. What about this one? Do you know what those are on the left? Those are organ stops. Organ stops. And there's 12 of them. And that's a man hitting a home run. This is The Feeling. 12 stops and home. Huge at the time. I remember Elton John going nuts about it with their kind of quite light-hearted pop songs, which kind of deal with everyday life, I suppose, in certain ways. They were huge at the time, weren't they? 12 stops and home. What do you mean you don't know what an organ stop is? Well, that's not my fault. What's going on here? This man is stopping. What's he stopping us doing? He's stopping all those clocks going past. This is the Oasis album, Stop the Clocks. There you go. Stop the Clocks. Oasis, eh? Right, and number 19, what have we got here? Well done if you got this. I am very impressed. What have we got here? We've got a dance floor. And what's going on the dance floor? Lots of confessions. Lots of different confessions are going on. This is Madonna's Confessions on a Dance Floor. Madonna's Confessions on a Dance Floor, her 2006 big album where she went all disco-y and funky and whatever. Well, not so much funky, but there you go. Okay, Confessions on a Dance Floor. I told you I like that one. Right. Okay. Name that tune. And I've realised at this point I haven't put the answers up on the screen. So you will have to listen and go with it. What was the first one? What was the first one with the old? It was Shakira, wasn't it? And Wycliffe Jean with Hips Don't Lie. the best-selling of the year, one of the biggest selling singles of all time in the United States, Hips Don't Lie. But there you go. That was the trumpet break in it that goes on all the way through. But of course, I did it on the piano. What about number 2? That repeated riff that we have. That bit up there. What was that? This was The Killers, of course, and When You Were Young. Massive hit for them. Their first single after Hot Fuss had, on the slow burn had exploded. With the wonderful line, he doesn't look a bit like Jesus, which doesn't seem to make any sense at all, but there you are. I'm sure I could deconstruct it if I had to, but it's never mind. When You Were Young by The Killers, of course, got a lot of stick at the time for sounding a little bit like Born to Run, that riff there. What about number 22? What do we have here with the... It's Chelsea Dagger by the Fratellis. You remember all the do-do-do, 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 do-do-do-do-do. Yeah. Going along, as I said, on a piano, not quite the same, so maybe challenged your memory a bit there. And then number 23, what do we have with our song? It's Nelly Furtado with Man Eater. So, number 20, Hips Don't Lie, Shakira and Wyclef Jean. 21, When You Were Young by The Killers. 22, Chelsea Dagger by the Fratellis. And 23, Man Eater by Nelly Furtado. There we go. The covers, right? Let's have a look at these. Starting with Don't Stop Me Now. Which one of those did Don't Stop Me Now? You must have worked this out. Of course that was going to be McFly, even if you can't remember it. McFly. Goodness me. I Think We're Alone Now. Again, I think you could work out from there who's going to do a cover of I Think We're Alone Now out of those. Of course, it's Girls Aloud. It's not very memorable, was it? But it was a massive hit at the time. Now, who covered Woman in Love? It's a strange one to choose to cover, really, in some ways, because, you know, Barbra Streisand, whatever you think of her, she certainly got a heck of a voice. But apparently Liz McClellan from Atomic Kitten felt she could give it a go. And she went top 10 with it. So there we are. That leaves us 2 left. Downtown and The Rose. Well, come on. Downtown and Westlife. No, I know they crucified Uptown Girl, but nope. It was Emma Bunton and Downtown. And of course, Westlife, obviously, doing their version of The Rose. There we are. Breaking even further records with more number ones. Right, on to our last 2. 29, the trivia. Of course, there was a clue in the question here, which I haven't got in this one here, where I threw in that it was swiftly followed. Tim McGraw by a self-titled debut, because of course it was Taylor Swift. Okay, of course it was. What about number 30? Why did Sham 69 update Hurry Up Harry? Well, the clue is, as I reminded you at the time, that it is 2006. It's a World Cup year. And we were hitting the height of World Cup songs here. This was Hurry Up England, the people's anthem. There was a multitude of songs released at this point for the 2006 World Cup. As I say, we were still riding the 96 and 98 Three Lines whole thing. Three Lines was released, of course, re-released, as it often is, and hit the charts. And I think Embrace did the official version. But yes, Hurry Up England from Sham 69. There we go. Well, thank you so much for taking part. There'll be another quiz next week. I hope you did all right on this one. Please, please, please feel free to contribute. As mentioned before, give Young Minds UK a little bit of cash. Support me a little bit in doing that, especially if you've enjoyed it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, please. It helps. The more subscribers I have, obviously, the more chance I've got of people taking notice, and the more chance I have of raising money. so you can help me in that way. Any more news about these is always on Twitter. Please do let me know how you got on. I always love to hear. Last week we had a high I heard of 25 out of 30. I wonder if anyone's beaten that this week. We'll see what year it is next week. Thank you very much for joining me.